Do 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 do. All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we've made it. It feels like forever. Just like I was making my Leftovers review for season 2's finale. We started Doctor Who and the Leftovers a long time ago, and a lot of things have happened over the course of the last couple of years that has made things difficult and has made it get back on track and record videos for some of the older things that I was talking about. And just as important as watching and recording the finale for the Leftover Season 2 felt, this is probably even more impactful because I never planned on watching Doctor Who. It was suggested to me by one of my subscribers from a long way back named Belinda. We suggested I start watching these and started the Peter Capaldi ones, showing she knew this would be, if I was going to jump in, this would be where I should start, or, watch at least these. She knew me, this person knew me pretty well because I love Peter Capaldi, and I love Peter Capaldi's Doctor quite a bit. And I feel like, I think it's season, is it season 8? It has to be. That he started. I don't know. I feel like I've made a bunch of Doctor Who's now. And season 9, episode 12, Hellbent, is the one we're going to be talking about now. And in a lot of ways, I almost feel like this could have been like a series wrap for Doctor Who. Now, for those hardcore Doctor Who fans, that would never be acceptable to hear those kind of words. But hear me out when we get to it. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. For all of you returning people, of course, welcome back. How's everybody doing? And yeah, we're talking about Hellbent, episode 12. It's the season 9 finale. I don't really know how they air and how they're presented in England. If they can, how they describe, ends of seasons. When do seasons end? Are they pods? Are they, just chapters? However you put it. In America, they have it on HBO as episode 12, and then we start with season 10. So this, for all intents and purposes, is the season 9 finale. But since this show's been going since the 60s, right? How many seasons, how many episodes, it doesn't even matter. I think it's just a good way to put it in context, at least for American audiences. There are the Christmas special for 2016. We will be recording reviews for those, and we will be continuing on the Peter Capaldi run. We're going to finish the Peter Capaldi run, but like I said, this feels like if they wanted to just stop, this would have been great. But there is still some story to be told, for sure. I'm sure that the people who know this way better than me, because I am a noob, that's why it says a noob reviews this, because Peter Capaldi's run is the only run I've watched. And so I don't know a lot. So again, I always leave it up to you guys in the chat, in the comments section, to let me know how I'm doing, but also to fill in the gaps for me for all the information without spoiling other episodes. I like bits of information and knowledge, but I don't need past episodes spoiled for me. I have watched the big anniversary one where it has Tennant and Matt Smith and John Hurt, or is it William Hurt? That's John Hurt. And we've covered other Christmas specials, but this really, Man, this hit home. This is a hard one, man. This was an emotional one, and I at first didn't know how I was going to talk about it. I took a lot of notes. I like just like the leftovers review, right? I I took this is all this and this, and basically for Hellbent, it's all this and all that, and I could have wrote more, but then I started realizing that I want to just talk from the heart and use this more as an outline than just to talk about it, because this one made me feel a lot of things. And like any great Doctor Who episode, I don't really know where it's going, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad that I can come up with ideas, and maybe I'm kind of right in some ways, but usually the show's episodes find ways to flip it on me. And so we have this beginning scene, right? We know that Clara died, and we know that everything that Doctor has been doing now is a response to her death, and he is blaming the there's a guy on Gallifrey, the Time Lords. He blames them for what they did when they trapped him inside the confession dial because they wanted to know about the hybrid, and he trapped himself in there for over 4 billion years. That was such a crazy episode. And all of this, he never says the word love. They never say love. And I love that they don't, because that's where where my mind goes. But they're not saying love, that it goes beyond love. A friendship so strong, a connection so strong that it's just, you can't really just want to pin it down with one word. And so we start off in this diner here where, if you guys notice, and I'm sure you guys do, guys, gals, everyone, they're playing Don't Stop Me Now from Queen, which I really dug. It was a cover of it, though. And it's so out of context, all right? So I'm saying it how I'm presenting it, like this isn't even like a review. If you need a review, it's amazing. There's the review. It's amazing. I love this. Depending on, how many seasons you've watched, how devoted you are to Doctor Who, I don't know how you all feel about this, but again, since I'm loving the Peter Capaldi run, this is choice. So there's the review. It was great. It made me want to cry. I have tears kind of like, well, I still feel that emotional because I just finished watching it for the first time. So I wish that all of you guys could give yourself a little neuralizer hit and rewatch it for the first time yourselves. But because this really was great. So again, he's in the diner. They're talking to each other. She doesn't seem to know who he is. We don't know if he knows who she is. And I love that after the fact. And when I first watched this, I'm like, he's rolling up in here. She's there. He knows who she is. And in my brain, I was like, oh, this is like something that happens, and we're going to call back to this, and it's going to be that he put her here out of the way, and she just doesn't remember him. And I love how I'm right about that, but I'm not. And again, like I say, the show does a really good job of flipping what I expect, subverting the expectations, but more of just good storytelling. So, she's like, tell me about Clara, because he's in there about her, and they go to the main titles and everything, and we get that really cool map painting of Gallifrey, and even though it looks a little cheesy, but I've come to, it's fine. I'd rather see a really great map painting of this and look a little cheesy than a lot of other things. Like, it's such great sci-fi. Old, like, it looks like the back, like a cover of a sci-fi book. I'm talking about that way too much already. So goes to the old farmhouse that I recognize from it seems like his past, right? And it's where we jet over to Gallifrey in the big old dome And Master Lewin's here. So he didn't die in season 2 of Game of Thrones. He just, he shows up here all of a sudden. I'm kidding, of course. The actor who played Master Lewin from Game of Thrones is here playing the president of Gallifrey, Lord President. Yeah, because one word's not good enough. And he is very afraid. All the bells are ringing. Again, it just made me think of frickin' King's Landing when all the bells are ringing. The bells! And there's great danger. Everything is in chaos. Everybody's afraid because the Doctor has returned. And the Sisterhood of Karn? Don't really know who they are, but they're immortals. And wait, is Sisterhood of Karn? Does that have to do with Missy? I can't remember. I'm sure you'll tell me. But they're there, and they're talking about how at the farmhouse, there's a woman there who doesn't know who he is until she sees his face and is this his mother? No. Whoever it is knows him. And I think the whole planet knows him, or all of Gallifrey knows his face, so she's like, they'll kill you, man. And they do come for him. And he does draw the literal proverbial line in the sand with these people. And they're afraid because they're talking about words, like he doesn't have a gun, but he doesn't need guns because words are his weapons. And I love the line, words are his weapons. When did they stop being ours? Well, they start showing up, and he just blows them all off one after the other. I actually really think this is a funny scene. The woman who keeps coming back in to be like, it's getting worse, there's more people who keep coming. Until finally, the guy who won't show up because he wants it to be easy, because he knows he's in deep shit, clearly, finally shows up. And he thinks it's going to be easy, and he tries to, they kind of, go at each other. He tells him to get off his planet. Well, when the president doesn't like that and he has all the men, he tells them to, shoot the Doctor. But they've all, worked with him, served under him in the Time Wars, and so they purposely miss. And they turn on the president. Because they talk about another great line. This episode's full of great lines about, when you talk about when the first time you see the Doctor of War, you'll notice he is unarmed. There's another line. Stories are where memories go when they are forgotten. And that is, I was talking to somebody today. We were on our way home from a trip to me donating plasma. It's that little dot in my arm there. You probably see the iodine still. Ugh. So, on the way back from donating plasma this morning, I was talking about how there's a clip on YouTube of the oldest person that was still alive in the 50s who witnessed Abraham Lincoln's assassination. He was on an old 50s game show. Look it up if you want to see this. And it was like hearing the record of this man who was close to death telling everybody about what happened that night. And I was just so blown away by the story and how if you don't have these things, like these ways of telling people our stories. Before television and the internet and computers and tape and everything, the ways we can record things, before that, we had people that would write books, but books aren't always reliable, and just hearing things throughout, like people writing things down that they look through research and they do archaeological digs and they try to recreate things. Really, we can't know 100% sure, everything that went down and how it went down. And so listening to that guy's story made me think about, this episode made me think of that from this morning. That when the memories are gone, so things that happened all, we have memories about them. They're recreations of memories that we live through. We have it easier now because we have like actual records. We see everything. We film everything. We do this. You know, I have this to like show like later on, you know, my nieces and nephews' kids and them, they can like look at these videos and know me in some way. And I may be getting off track, but this is just how my reviews go, people. This is how it goes. This is how I feel. And so I really loved that line. Because that's what we do. Stories are memories where they go when they are forgotten. It's really... So he almost gets regenerated, but the doctor has reinforcements coming, and it's basically all the men have turned on the president, and they kick him off the on. Now I was thinking that this was at the point where during the story where I thought, wow, they're really getting to a lot of stuff that feels like it's been from the beginning to now, right? I felt like this was building all the way up to this, all these years building to this. But really, there's still more to go in. But for some people, this probably was like a penultimate moment of him coming back and finding Gallifrey at the end of the universe. But really what we have here is just I mean, it's got all that, but a way to avoid that so that you don't call this like a series wrap-up is that really this is a personal story of just how much Clara meant to the Doctor, how her death impacted him, and what he's going to do about it now, especially after what they pulled when they trapped him in the confession dial. And how, you know, we remember that she said she didn't want him to do any... Love makes you do... Friendship, caring about people, will make you do stuff, you know, that they might not want you to do. He is hell-bent to make these people pay and figure out a way to save Clara. Still. So... These, like, preparing to kick out the rabble, the president, the council, all of it. You know, because part of it is they use this sacred device that's supposed to be for a doctor at the end of his life to kind of go over everything before he enters the Matrix, and instead they used it as a torture device on him to get information about the hybrid because they're all so scared of it. Even though, like, he's the one who protected them. Right? He's the one that managed to get them to this place. And now after all these billions of years, they've, you know, this is where it's gotten him. But I might be wrong about that. And again, because I'm only seeing part of the story. But he needs an extraction chamber. He uses the extraction chamber to get Clara, pull her from the timeline. If you don't understand what that is, think of Avengers Endgame when they took the stones out of the timeline and then they intended to put them back. But in this case, he's taking her out and not putting her back. That is not his intention, to put her back. So he takes her out of the time stream and we get Clara back again. And they say that it's like, I think he got the guy to do it because he wanted to make, you know, he needed a reason, so it was like for now, but really it was just to keep her safe. He regenerates the commander, and he's talking about they have to fix a neural block, and that it'll be to wipe her memory of me, so that way they can't find her, they can't use her against him, or vice versa. And it's just a way to keep her alive. And that he's so desperate to keep her alive, he would rather her forget everything about him. So they end up in the database. And this was pretty creepy. You know, we get to see kind of a greatest hits of the villains that have tried to get into this place. There's Daleks. There's I can't remember their names. There's the statues that only move when you're not looking at them. And then the machine men, if that's what their name is, I think. Some of them have been trapped in there. And she's kind of freaking out at this point because he's just not being himself. She asks him, what happened to you? And how long has it been since the last time you've seen me? And, it's been 4.5 billion years. Well, they finally come down there and she creates a distraction so that he can steal a TARDIS. And, I mean, he's really kind of talking way different than he's ever talked. And talking about the neural block adjustment, that at this point in time, he's answerable to no one. Like, that's not the Doctor. She knows it's not the Doctor that we know. He's gone pretty far. And I loved it when there's a knock on the door and she's like, who's that? He goes, me. But it's actually me. A shielder, played by Maisie Williams, is back, and she's sitting there at the end of the world watching stars die. And another great moment where she's talking about how it's sad and beautiful watching stars die. Kind of like how when Clara's death happened, it was also sad and beautiful. She went out on her own terms, and nobody has the right to change that. But she's inside the TARDIS, uses the glasses to see what they're talking about, and she hears it all. And Me's got this theory that the hybrid isn't just like all the different theories that they had was that it's the Doctor would be a human Time Lord hybrid, or as she puts it, that it's a Time Lord and a human, and that combined the two of you make the hybrid, the people that would put the entire time stream continuum, whatever. Hardcore people are not gonna don't like it when you just say whatever to their thing. I mean no disrespect. This is just how I talk. So she's hypothesizing that it's both of them. Now, once Clara hears all, they get back in there, and she's like, after everything that's happened, she's entitled to her past. And it's a really nice sentiment. And if you were to have your memory erased, you wouldn't know any of that. But you'd also be dead. And so it's a real catchy situation because, like, I think of what I would do, and my gut instinct is to say, no, you can erase my memory. I don't need to know all this as long as I keep living. But there's a real argument to be made of, wouldn't that negate everything, the importance of everything you had done before and everything, even though you're not going to be around to see any more of it and remember any of it. So it is almost an unanswerable question. Some of you probably would know just as fast as I would. But do I know for sure what I would do? And it's like, man, I don't know. I guess if it came down to it, that I would know for certain that the time would fracture and it would mean billions of other people's lives, then maybe that's a different story. But the term "one of us has to go," so the neural block, one of them, that he doesn't know if it'll erase her memory of him or of his of her. And so he hits it, and it turns out that it's him that's going to forget her. And that really, I didn't expect it. It was very, very sad. Him and his goodbye, trying to get out everything, and I can imagine just like almost like he's dying, right? It feels very much like a death scene of somebody just trying to say their final words, even though it's just about memories. And it makes you wonder, like, how many people are like that near death, like, oh shit, I gotta say a bunch of stuff. And how you would try to, like, compile a bunch of crap, and how much of it would be petty bullshit, and how much of it would be meaningful, and how much of it would just be nothing nonsense, like, I really like chocolate ice cream or something, but not vanilla, okay? Like, I don't know. But he tells her to smile for him, and that he'll remember her. And then he fades out, and we fade back in, and it's the desert. There's a guy standing there with a card. He says that Clara told me to look after you. And that's how we end up here at the restaurant, the diner in the middle of the desert. and we know that he doesn't remember her, but she remembers him. And it's very sweet. And eventually, you know, she leaves him. She gets into the TARDIS. The diner is the TARDIS. All meant to look big. It's bigger on the inside. She goes into the room with me, and they go away. And the TARDIS that now looks like a diner goes up into space and leaves him there. And again, it was just really emotional there, her talking to him. And we get an open ending to all this because, yes, she's got every intention of going back to Gallifrey to put herself back into the time stream and face the Raven again. Face her death. It's inevitable. But isn't there a little bit of wiggle room? And so she says, we're going back to Gallifrey to me. She tells me that, Shielder. But we're going to take the long way around. And so the adventures of Clara don't necessarily end here. And that's really cool. But the Doctor, he gets into his TARDIS that they've left for him. Inside, there's a chalkboard that she's written, you know, like she would. Run, you clever boy, and be a doctor. And there's the velvet coat that she liked. And the screwdriver is back. It's no longer sunglasses, although I hope they go back to being sunglasses because I prefer the sunglasses. And it's just a nice open ending where he takes off and she takes off, going their separate ways. And it's just, after all this time, because I've only known Clara, this is like a very bittersweet moment, and I really enjoyed it, and I was not sure about it going in. We will be covering the 2 Christmas specials. I don't know what's going to happen down the road. Definitely. I'm excited to see where the rest of the story's going. But other than that, if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and the bell for all notifications. If you fucking hated everything I just said, well, we can give you the last 28-ish minutes, 27, 28-ish minutes back by using our own little time device and giving you that time backwards. So for those of you who did like it, please put on shades, look away, or if you have epilepsy, hit the floor, because we're going to give these people a better memory. Here's hopefully a much better memory than the last 28 minutes. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the Christmas special of 2015!
Get off my planet.